Потім другорядне, то ті, що відносяться до поета, а потім ви мусите мати Канада також на тим. When I came to Canada, it was 1949. And I came to Canada, and first night I slept in Canada, and I could sleep very soundly, because I know when I go to sleep in Canada and I wake up, there won't be no prosecution. It will be safe, nice, beautiful day for me in freedom. So from that time, Canada became my second mother, because my mother was enslaved. My mother country didn't exist. It was occupied at that time with Soviet Union, and that's an empire of slavery. But here I came, and always I started to dream about the real stamps of Canadian and coins and coat of arms for the cities, what else, that I could do it. And that's what happened. I was doing for the city of Windsor, which I am the inhabitant now, and tried to pay for the kindness that this distant land of Canada extended her hand to poor immigrant that was prosecuted with tyranny of Soviet Union, and give me chance to pursue and study and finally find a gainful employment and hard worker, which I spent 30 years at. And I could study on both sides of learning places like university and art schools in Detroit, and take seminars, travel between two countries, like I went to Rochester or other places, and I could benefit because I was curious, but I mastered drawing and everything. But if you do something historical, you have to research it. You have to go and dig very hard. So the image on coin could be truthful and historically. And I remember I have to research mounted police coin, Royal Canadian Mint. So I went to the local police station and asked if I could take a look at the uniform, because I want to find out about Royal Canadian mounted police. And this officer looked at me. Here comes an individual with foreign accent and wants to get a uniform for himself. So he kind of looked at me, and I kind of looked at him, and I just walked out. But later on, I discovered everything about mounted police. There is a beautiful museum in Saskatchewan. So I wrote to them, and they sent me everything, you name it, the first uniforms and everything. But they're adventures, and you get sometimes information, sometimes you don't. But sometimes you have to back, and sometimes information mislead. People don't have information, but they give it, but then have check, recheck, and then sketch, resketch. But I did with the great love for Canada what I did, coins and stamps and other related matter. Like I did for Her Majesty Queen, her 60th anniversary of her reign, coins for local places right through Canada to honor her 60 years of on the throne, So it's adventurous, and sometimes you get slightly tired, but the energy is there. You want to go, you grab the pencil, you sketch, resketch, and sometimes when I sleep in the night, with my finger in the darkness, I sketch things, and those images disappear, but for some reason they stay. So next morning, when I sit down, I could sketch what I sketched in the middle of the night. So I enjoyed it very much, my creation in Canada, and I have a great love for Canada. I became citizen, I became a person. Before I wasn't a person. I didn't have home, I lost lost my citizenship, if there was any kind, there was the number for people named schedule every night to go. They used to take that to Siberia because my father the roof was covered with metal. It's not with the straw like other houses. So that make the Stalin's eyes enemy of the people. Painting, I do painting, but I'm not master of paintings. I am strictly graphic designer. But I kind of play around. Painting is kind of side occupation. It gives you relaxation, experimentation. You mix the painting and you see, I go to the show, I admire other people work and all that, but, and I do murals, but I switched to my wood carving because I did two-dimensional things. When you do the drawing, you have the height and weight, whatever, you know, and there is no dimension to it. But to do the coins, you have to think that there is a dimension to it. There is a third dimension, and I started to make profiles in wood. So when I was making a coin, I was already with the engraver working. I knew how that coin will come out because I mastered the wood carvers technique. So that made me to do. And granite, you know, it's a God-given material. You're curious what will happen. I mastered the granite very good. And then I assure myself that I'm so good. When I was making portrait of my daughter, I was chiseling her real fast and everything, shape was coming out. And then I have to do finish it up, nose and eyelids and all that. Yeah, our family, there was a big Bible illustrated with Doré's engraver. And I was fascinated with those drawings because they were nice and crisp, and lines and everything, dramatical clouds and everything looked so good. So I was captivated and tried to do something like that with little stones on the road or something like that. And that triggered me to do. In fact, that thing make me read, because my father used to read the Bible verses there which explained the engravings, and then he got tired and he make me familiar with the alphabet, and we have no spelling, and I had no time, and I started to read to myself. In fact, I learned some part of the Bible by heart, so later in my life I used to have discussion with priests, and they thought that there was something from the God to me, that I could remember all that. That's what made me interested in art, Bible, Doré's Bible illustrations. Chris Reese, as I mentioned, he gave me warning that be careful how you carve the nose. He says, start from the tip of the nose and go against the face. Because he says most of the time, you know, the tip of the nose, then you have to reduce the whole head and start again. But this portrait of my daughter went to my head, and I thought that I became Michelangelo. I didn't listen to him. So sure thing, I had to the wrong way with the chisel outside the face like, and the tip of the nose broke off. So I have to do what my teacher told me, to carve the new head, smaller head, to give the proper nose. So it's good when you take any course, is listen to your superior teacher, whoever he is, because it would cost you time and money sometimes. That's my advice. But I like the because with the statue or anything three-dimensional, you could put your hand on. I like the driftwood that I could convert into the piece of art. The driftwood already has certain shape that decides what the sculpture should look like. So much I could tell for my wood carving, and there was competition, and I won a few. One was first prize, international prize, between the show was here in Windsor, and other ones too, you know, but it takes time, but it's something. It has no color, but I take advantage what the good Lord gives you, marble, granite. I have a lot of statues. In fact, I joke, not statues, they're tombstones, graveyard. They say, is there any artwork? I say, I have a whole cemetery with my creations, Ukrainian section. Because a lot of people come to me, Ukrainian, they want to have a Ukrainian motif or design, so on, and they don't know how to do it or tell the monument maker what to do it. So I make finished drawing, and they have to follow. So very unusual, because you have to send people to the graveyard to see my artwork. But that's how it is. I still like to do, and I was also captivated with the paintings in our church, because our Greek Catholic segment of Christianity demands that there should be nice icons painted. And yes, I dreamt, because at that time the part of Ukraine was captivated, overtaken by Poland. We have to study Polish language in school and Ukrainian the same. But I was fascinated with the coinage, because there was one of Polish president of the time, his portrait in relief on the coin, and I was thinking maybe someday Ukraine will be free and I could do the stamps and banknotes, etc., numismatic stuff that goes all together. Ukrainians in Ukraine, we have Holodomor. That was genocide of Ukrainian people because they didn't want to join collective farms. So Stalin ordered to kill 7 million Ukrainians. When Ukraine became independent, they asked for the monument, to make a monument. It was international, open to international, because we have big diaspora. We have several million people that live in foreign countries. For somebody to come up with the unique monument. So I make this sketch and I send them to Ukraine, and I thought they might consider it, but Ukraine became independent. But in Ukraine, there still are people, I call them, and other people call them, Homo Sovieticus. That's the person that still admires the ways the Soviet Union was functioning. So they created, you might say, in art you have Cubism, Realism, and there's also, it's my creation, it's ahism. You show them piece of your artwork or plan or whatever you have, they look at it very carefully and they go, aha, that's ahism, and that's where it ends. So that would be, because to me would be the, it gel, and that was my monument. It would be very good for my soul, because I honor those poor souls that disappear or were murdered somewhere in big jails by Stalin, Soviet leader of that time. Every artist likes to create, but I would like to see young artists create the art for independent Ukraine, because before Ukrainian and the Soviet Union was like Egypt. In Egypt, when you look today at art, there were people show one way, and that was it, because priests dictated them how the art should be, to be. But I would suggest to study, and as a Ukrainian, give something, give it to Ukraine what's Ukrainian, and give to Canada what's Canadian, you know, so give it to Caesar, to God what's God's, and give it to Caesar what's Caesar. That's what Christ said, how much money, but this would be the talent that you should give. But today art became, they go so modern that I'm a great lover of modern art, but modern art is very carefully created by artists in his mind, and that put there on canvas or mural, what have you, and you could admire it. You take a textile for women and shirts or for men, the design on it is modern. I mean, it's a wild, but it does the work. It pleases the eye, and I would suggest them to follow the honest, but not to do something art just for the sake of money. But once you become famous and make money, that's a success. An artist is happy, bank is happy, and what have you, everybody's happy. But you can make something for art, for a shrine, religious place that people get together and make something wild that doesn't jive with the beautiful word of a creator, you know. He created art that we don't see. It's in front of us, but everything has a place. You go outside and there are green color, but those shades are different, but together there's a symphony of color, shapes, rocks and everything, and it works for us. So I would say, if you're artist, you would follow those things, find out this hidden things, but you have to look closer and you come up with something. So I don't want to criticize, but sometimes you become artist because you think you would make money, and you don't have no observation in you, and you don't have anything that would make people, ordinary people, take a look and relax, but that's what the art part, or disturb or your spirit to lead the army or something like that, excusable, because you have to make war sometimes, there's no other way, you know. So if you make mural, whatever you have to be careful what you do, and go on, not give up. Petro Hancharenko, he was an immigrant to United States like I was immigrant to Canada. And he was creative of ensemble of bandurist, Ukrainian choir that plays on Ukrainian instruments, banduras. And I noticed that they make they were called seals or Cinderella stamps. They're not government sponsored, but you could depict historical things and send to the people, Ukrainian people, and they used to send donation to the Capella, to the Petro, so they could cover their expenses when they traveled to United States, Canada, and later also Europe. But definitely they couldn't go to Ukraine, because Ukraine was occupied by Soviet Union, so it was impossible to do anything in Ukraine. But Petro Hancharenko, and he was very precise in his art, playing on bandura and keeping bandurist group in place. And I was fascinated how much time he devoted, so I devoted, and for something like 30 years I was making these Cinderella stamps or seals, or some people call them stamps, and some people were misled. They started to stick them on labels like Canadian stamps, and I heard rumors that law didn't look kindly at that practice.
Your schooling, where'd you go to school for art?
School started in Regensburg after the war. there was studio with artists that escaped from Soviet Union and made the studio, and the guy in charge of our school, so that is, you go there and sweep the rooms, whatever you have to do, they will be teaching you. So when kids have during the vacation time to go enjoy themselves, you know, play volleyball or anything, I used to carry cast of Schubert and Tchaikovsky and all the statues, the composers, to our house and sketch them. So the teacher that was teaching physics, volleyball and all that, he was not happy. I didn't get passing mark for sports in my school. But then when I came to Europe, came to Canada, I took correspondence course. It has to do with signage and lettering and all that, so you could be hired by store and do these things. And and also I learned silkscreen, textile printing and stuff like that. But I wasn't happy. I knew that I had to go farther. So when I came here to Windsor from from Edmonton, I went to school here, went to 3 schools here, and then I enrolled in Detroit, which I finished. And I have to be proud of myself, because they say, I said I came once and I said I have no money. And they say, leave some of your samples and you could take the school all the way to the end. Will be paid for you. I guess the school want to show how well they train you and how much you could learn. So I agree and I finished the school. But later on, through my place of employment at Harm Walker, they were paying for my courses at night. So I went to University of Windsor. I took the intaglio courses, the printmaking, and I went to St. Clair College that I took and was still following the wood carving. And so I took so many. I went to New Jersey and you name it, because I learned every place I went, I learned something that I didn't know, and I'm very, very grateful to Harm Walker that they covered and paid for the dollars. But the company, the art design center, which I was working for, the Harm Walker, benefited from my knowledge. So, and I'm still learning today. When I grab something, there's something invention and all that. Now cameras, I do just half of the design. I go to the computer and the design is symmetrical, so I don't have to do the other paint like I used to do, or sketching or ink drawing, whatever. The camera reverses things, and I want anything. I do white on black, but I want to do white, vice versa. It does the same thing. Final words. It was blessing to me that I was able to escape and be what person has to be. Nobody tried to convert me to something that I'm not. And the doors, I see my life as the street of knowledge. And the door, I had a little wagon there, you know. And every wagon has a pole. And everybody, you go learn to the doors are open, and you could pull that wagon to the highway of life and go. So everything is possible, was possible to me and possible to everybody. You just put you to yourself and you could become whatever you wanted. You can't become president, you have to be born American or Canadian born, but you could become the greatest man in the world. Even if you survive without doing nothing, because you're smart enough, and you still gain some riches, you have to give that person credit. But I want for myself to stay in good health for a few years, so I could create, because still people come to me or for advice or anything, and my satisfaction too. That's my advice to other people. Belief, secret of success is persistence.